Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of 365 Days of Gaming. I appreciate you taking our time to check out this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. All things greatly appreciated. But let's get into it. Now, this particular game is one of the many RPGs that I'm excited to share with you on this list. So, as I said before, we got to start knocking them down. So this is kind of that trend where we're going to be seeing a lot of RPGs, which I'm excited for, and I hope you are too. And if you haven't played any of these RPGs, I definitely invite you to try them, especially the one that we're going to talk about today, because this one is a legendary game for multiple reasons. The team that did it, the art style, the multiple endings, just everything about this game is incredible. And we're talking about the legendary Chrono Trigger. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this game, I'm going to give you a quick little synopsis of the story. Essentially, the main character who you play, or who actions that you're taking the decisions over, is Chrono, just like the title, right? You are the Chrono Trigger, much less, I know that sounds very cliche, but trust me, that's exactly what's happening. And then you meet various different characters like Luca, who you grew up with, Mara, who you meet shortly after, and you'll end up with a whole host and cast of people that you will, for lack of a better term, interact with and see their stories and make decisions on how those stories play out. The other thing is so this game was an SNES game. I first played it as a PlayStation game. This is one of those my friend Marquise introduced me to. And the first time I played it, he was showing me the anime style cutscenes that they added to the PlayStation version. So if you do have a choice, I will say the PlayStation version is probably the most complete package. I know they had the DS version, and I'm not sure if it has the anime cutscenes in it or not. But either way, this is an RPG with multiple endings, which was kind of crazy to think about during that time, especially this being an SNES game, right? So there are going to be parts in the game that you get to where you'll have decisions to make, and those decisions will change the outcome of the game. I'm not going to tell you what and which, because there are multiple different decisions that you can make at different times that will affect what outcome you end up having. Of course, there's the true ending, but I mean, it's really fun to see that there is you're playing this RPG, which battle system is pretty cool. They have one of the first games I remember having the active battle system where enemies will attack you while you're waiting for your meter to fill up before your next turn. But you can play a traditional style. Again, game was very much ahead of its time in the way you get to play this game, the outcomes that the game has, the characters, the story. It shows you one of my favorite settings, which is the dystopian future, where you get into these pods and it will refill your health and SP or MP, but it will say that you're still hungry, because the whole thing about the future is there's no food, there's no resources. So even when you go into one of these hyperbolic time chamber machines that heal you immediately, you're still hungry because you can't get nothing to eat. So I always thought that was really cool. There's a host of random characters that you'll interact with in this game that are amazing. And, this is one of the best RPGs, bar none. I don't care what anybody says. Then, now, and forever. Best RPGs ever. There is pick whatever character you want. They're all fantastic. Whether, you're talking about Mara, Luca, Ayla, Frog, Magus, obviously the main character, the team up attacks. There's so many things that this game had that I hadn't seen in an RPG yet when I played it. And so it was just okay, this is the pinnacle. And as much as Square likes to be weird about this game, they just never really wanted to do anything else with it. Obviously, RPGs are not going to sell like some of the other IPs, so I get it, but you can't have this great, storied game franchise and just kind of never really talk about it, even though that's what they do. And who knows why. But yeah, the artwork done by the creator of Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama, the music did by the Final Fantasy composer, and the story done by the writer of the Final Fantasy games, or at least some of them, the Dream Team, which end up making one of my favorite games, Lost Odyssey, later on. Yeah, and you could see it, they know what they're doing. They know how to write a story to make it different, to make it original. So I'm pretty sure I'm kind of preaching to the choir about this game. I've myself have shown multiple people, I'm look, even if you don't like RPGs, just give this one a shot and see what you think. This is definitely ones that you can make someone who's not necessarily an RPG fan, a fan. So of course we had to talk about it on this list. There was just no other option. So I'd like to hear your thoughts about this game, particularly just this one, not Chrono Cross, not Radical Dreamers, not yet at least, but just focusing on this version. What's the version that you enjoyed the most? What's the characters, the enemies? And before I forget, the main bad guy that you eventually go against is Lavos, and you can't beat Lavos because he's got spikes. So, sit with that. As always, appreciate you checking out the video. Y'all have fun. Y'all be safe. Peace.